light is red, the kids are in bed, which means it is time for Mile High Musings with me, Aaron Yowell, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Good morning, sunshine! Welcome to episode 19 of Mile High Musings here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Aaron Yowell, and man, it is good to be back after a week off. I keep taking these weeks off, and last week was definitely not planned. Everybody in the house was sick, except for me and baby girl. But I hope that you all had a fantastic Thanksgiving holiday and got some rest. And I mean, we did over here. Everyone's healthy now. Sort of. Baby girl still got a cough, and you know it's the morning, so I got that sweet morning voice going on. But we have a lot to get to this week because it's the middle of fall, y'all. But first, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, sports fans of all ages, it is time we ascend to the top of the peak and breathe in that rarefied mountain air as that bringing you sports takes a mile above the rest. On this morning's show, we're going to talk about the Avs and the relative heater that they're on and the 180 they've turned since last we spoke. The Nuggets are hurting without Jamal. They've done quite literally the opposite of the Avalanche since last we spoke. There's lots of college football and basketball to talk about. And speaking of heaters, on God, how about them Broncos?
Go Broncos!
That's right, Penny Quinn. But before we handle our business, or before we get to the good, we have got to handle our business. For the last 9 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok to keep up with the latest in sports and with our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website, iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and all of our show pages with personal bios and the podcast feed for each individual show, including this one, Mile High Musings. Check out the show page at iesportsradio.com/Mile High Musings. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop, including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeve shirts, hoodies, and so much more. For nearly a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans and for the fans, and we thank each and every one of you for all of your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports. What's good, sports fans? It's your boy Aaron Yowell from Mile High Musings here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, and I am super excited to tell you about a new sponsor on the network, Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm's Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket beef jerky offers gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. That's my favorite part. This is some of the best beef jerky you can get your hands on. Check them out online, planetjerky.com. Once again, a huge shout out to our sponsor, Planet Jerky, Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, the jerky that is on a whole other planet. Let's go ahead and kick off this week's episode of Mile High Musings here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, with segment 1, Runaway Train. That's right, it's the same segment title as last week, or 2 weeks ago, excuse me, but sorry, I'm updating my notes. It still works. That segment title still works because its connotation is different, yet acceptable. After the 8-2 complete butt-whooping, quit job, never seen Jared Bednar so mad that the St. Louis Blues handed out 2 weeks ago, the Colorado Avalanche have won 6 of their last 7 games, including handing out their own 8-2 beatdown So let me hit you with a quick rundown of those Avalanche. Going back to the Blues game. After the Blues game, they won at Seattle 5-1. They won at home against Anaheim 8-2. Yo boy. They won at Dallas, who was the division leader at the time. 6-3. The Avs were down 3-0 in that game to storm all the way back. And I can remember very vividly a game last spring where the Avs went to Dallas on like a Saturday and got their butts just whooped, and I saw that coming. Then they go to Nashville and lose 4-3 on 2 goals given up in the last 30 seconds of the game. It literally never happens. Total fluke play. Best player in the world lets puck just jump his stick, and the Avs ended up losing the Nashville game after playing a pretty darn good game. Literally, you take away that 20 seconds. The Avs are 7-0 in their last 7, and have played relatively perfect hockey. Then they welcome in the Vancouver Canucks, who are the best offensive team in the league. They have the highest goal differential. Everybody's talking about how Quinn Hughes is the next big thing. Quinn Hughes, the captain of the Canucks. He's the best player in the world. Cale Makar said, hold my beer. Well, he probably didn't say that because I bet he doesn't drink beer. But hold my coffee, eh? Makar went ahead and scored a goal and had an assist in that game and looked dominant where Quinn Hughes just had an assist. Then the Avs traveled to Minnesota to take on division rival, and the Minnesota games are always chippy. This one really wasn't, actually. Avs ended up winning 3-2 in that one. And then last night, a late night, hockey night in Canada, puck drop. The Avs hosted old friend Nazem Kadri and the Calgary Flames, and they ended up winning 3-1. And other than a little weird chippiness in the second period, Avs played pretty perfect hockey last night. Let me hit you with some stats from this run, because there are some impressive things here. Cale Makar, mentioned him, best player in the world. Kind of a big deal, right? Tallied 2 goals and 15 assists. That's right, 15 assists in this stretch. Including, within this stretch, going back to the Anaheim game, Anaheim, Dallas, and Nashville, homeboy had 3 games with 3 assists in a row. 3 games in a row with 3 assists. Words is hard. That's insane. He was the first star of the week last week, and if Nikita Kucherov for Tampa hadn't gone off for 6 points on Friday night, Makar would probably be the number 1 star this week. But, c'est la vie. Ross Colton, everybody was wondering about these new guys. Oh, is it going to be worth the price tag that we paid for these new guys? And, the jury's still out on a couple, but Ross Colton has scored 4 goals and 2 assists in this stretch, and the Avs are undefeated when Ross Colton scores. So you want to get Ross Colton on the board. Mikko Rantanen, the Moose, doing Moose things. 3 goals, 4 assists. And that feels so understated. And it's like, well, Mikko, what has he done for us lately? Well, he just keeps trucking along. 7 points. He's still in the top 10 in the NHL in points. He's dominant, and he's doing things just by being on the ice. And then there's Big Val, Valeri Nichushkin. 7 goals and 4 assists. That's a heater, fam. Also, that's new dad strength. Last night was actually the first game in 6 where Val hadn't scored. So, kind of a big deal. Avs are missing a couple of key guys right now with Lehkonen week to week with a neck injury, like in a brace and everything. Riley Tufte was called up from Loveland to fill that void. And then Samuel Girard, has been away from the team and has reached out to the NHLPA Players Assistance Program, which specializes in mental illness. So we hope Sammy G and Lecky get what they need individually. And our thoughts and prayers are out to them. We were also missing Logan O'Connor, except for last night he came back. So I'd started writing this segment before the game last night. And LOC had been out with, day-to-day. And Thomas Tatar had been also day-to-day, but also a scratch. And he's one of the ones where the jury's still out, I think, as far as new guys are concerned. But LOC has been a major contributor this year. He had that game where he had 3 shorties in a row. And he's part of what I'm calling the bunny line. Because they're like Energizer bunnies out there, that third line. Man, that third line is so good for the Avs. It was good to have him back last night against Calgary. So, good to see him getting back. Tatar's going to get his, I think. But he's just trying to figure out where he fits in. Because this is a team that's super dynamic with a lot of talent. But I've got some big takeaways from this last stretch. I've actually got two since I was holding down the infirmary last week. Big takeaway for the Avs, number one. Nathan MacKinnon's due like a lady who's 10 months pregnant due. And heaven help the team that he wakes up against. Now, again, I said I wrote this before the game last night, so I had to adjust some stats this morning. But the Avs did all of this winning lately, 6 out of their last 7, with MacKinnon only, and I say only, but some dudes would kill for this line, only contributing 1 goal and 10 assists. He was actually held goalless until last night. He had a wicked, just knuckle puck from right inside the blue line that snuck over Vladar's shoulder and went in. But he's been dropping dimes. He hadn't scored since November 9th, which is 2 weeks, 7 games. But he still is top 15 in the league in points. And Nate MacKinnon is to hockey as Jokic is to basketball. He doesn't always have to score to beat you, but he can score and score in bunches. And he can still look like the most dominant player on the ice. He's so fast. I don't remember if anything came of it last night, but I remember in the second period, it was right at the beginning of the second period, he came into the zone full speed and then just hit the brakes, pulled that e-brake so hard, and I was like, how do guys defend that? Cale Makar gets a lot of love for his shimmy and his shoulder shake and stuff, and MacKinnon used to. It's like commonplace now for Nate to shake a guy. But Nate's speed, and then he just yammed on those brakes, dead stop right inside the blue line to make a pass, to make something happen. It's incredible. Second big takeaway from the stretch, the Avs have stopped swapping lines for funsies. I've been calling for Bednar to stop the line flop for a couple weeks now. And they've, and Bednar's way better than I am at coaching, clearly, because he's an NHL coach. But he put together 4 lines, and he's kept them together, which has led to this nice little run that they're on. The consistency of playing together, and Johansson talked about it last night after getting the game-winning goal and being the first star. They're starting to play together. Drouin said it after during the first intermission. They're learning each other's tendencies. That comes from consistently playing on lines together. And keeping those lines together has led to them playing .700 hockey, winning 7 out of every 10 games. And that's going to position them nicely come playoff time. If they're on a clip right now, gang, to get 1.4 points per games played. If they keep that pace up, they'd be on track for 115 points for the season. That's ridiculous. The last time the Avalanche were on this kind of pace was the shortened 2021 season, in which they won the President's Trophy for the best record. Most points earned in the league. During that 56-game season, they averaged 1.46 points per games played. So thanks to the big W against Calgary last night, the Avs are sitting back atop the Central right now, 28 points. Oh, coaches called timeout on the other side. Let's visit campus. You are listening to Mile High Musings here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hockey fans, I'm Adam Kernick.
And I'm Zach Puplis.
Together, we are the newest version of Hockey Talk on IE Sports Radio, The Neutral Zone.
Zone.
We love hockey, but we also know it's not everyone's first sport. So we want to make this show as much for new fans as for the diehards.
Whether you can name all the Swedes on the '08 Red Wings Stanley Cup team, or if you can't tell if Varlamov is a goalie or the latest trendy vodka, we're here to help. With facts, figures, and outrageous fans, we bring you all the hard-hitting hockey news you can handle, while still keeping it fun and on the rails. Well, mostly.
So tune in every week as we go around the hockey world, from college to Canada, the minors and the majors, and everywhere in between.
So bring your cellies.
And your one-timers.
You wicked wristas.
And be sure to protect your 5-hole.
Catch the Neutral Zone every week on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
We promise not to pick on the Arizona Coyotes every episode.
Y'all check out the Neutral Zone weekly here on the network because it's hockey season. Don't forget to give us, the show here, Mile High Musings, a follow over on X at Mile High Musings _IESR. Check out all of the shows on the network over on social media, X and Instagram. Let's head into segment 2, which I'm calling Campus Roundup. We're going to go ahead and slam a whole bunch of college stuff into segment 2. I'm saving a big segment 4 for you here. A little tease. But let's hit campus. I wish I could go back to college. Well, we're going to right now. So you can't get it right, gang. I hope Coach Prime was correct in saying this is the worst they're going to be, because, man, CU Buffs football has fallen off. Now, they're finishing the year with 4 wins, which is 3 more wins, than last year. But they ended the game on they ended the season on a 6-game losing streak. So, not great, but new coach, new system, lots of new players. So they're trying to figure it out. 5 of CU's losses this year were by a touchdown or less, so that's promising. And big name recruits are still staying committed to the program, so there's hope. But it's like I said in the last segment about Nathan McKinnon's scoring. God help college football when the CU Buffs actually figure this thing out, because Dion doesn't stay down long. Like, they may have him on the mat right now, but Coach Prime does not stay down long. That's for sure. Travel up north a little bit further. They're up the road to Fort Collins. CSU ended up getting beat last night in Hawaii, which makes their record, I'm sorry, I can't count, 5-7, 1 game better than those Buffaloes. As much as I was up watching the Avs last night, I was trying to keep an eye on the CSU game, but they lost. It was hard, and CSU ended up losing on a last-second field goal, 27-24. I think Coach Norvell might have them going in the right direction. I still don't like him after the whole CU game. Kind of made me mad. But I don't wish ill on programs in the state, that's for sure. Air Force, another school that started hot, winning their first 8 games before ending the year on a 4-game losing streak. So instead of playing for the conference title, the Falcons sit just above middle of the pack in the Mountain West. They are bowl eligible, which is something that the other FBS schools in the state cannot stay. Oh, those poor UNC Bears. Those NoCo Bears finished 0-11, and it doesn't look like old Ed McCaffrey is cut out to be a college coach. And I say that with love because I love Eddie Mac, but that's not good, gang. And last, again, but certainly not least, those Colorado School Mines or Diggers are moving on to the Division II quarterfinals after beating Augustana, South Dakota, 56-10. Max McLeod set a Colorado School of Mines postseason record with 215 receiving yards in the game. My guy is a mechanical engineering major, and he took apart that secondary the way he probably took apart a toaster back in the day. Am I right? That's right. We got lots of college hoops to talk about. CU Buffs men's basketball team is currently 4-1 and ranked 18th in the country. They did lose in overtime to Florida State in their last game, so they may be dropping out of the polls come Monday. CSU Rams men's basketball team are currently 6-0, and their latest win is crazy impressive, a 69-48 win over number 8 Creighton. Look for the Rams to be moving into the top 25 this week. Staying in the Mountain West, Air Force is 5-2 after rattling off 4 straight wins over the last 2 weeks, and those NoCo Bears, darn it, 3-3 right now. They have played CSU, which looks like a tough task for anyone, in fact. But, speaking of CSU is this week, this Thursday to be exact, in Fort Collins. 7 p.m. tip on that one, so if you are a college hoops head and are willing to drive up I-25, which some people are not, and I understand, but it might be a game for you. We're going to take a quick break after that college roundup. On the other side, let's talk about sports that play inside Ball Arena. You're listening to Mile High Musings here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Give Chi-Town Weekly a listen here on the network with Adam. Got to be loving talking about that Connor Bedard kid and what he's doing. He's something else. Right now, you are listening to Mile High Musings here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And during that break, I sat there and went, man, I have got some real screaming talking head energy going on. It's early Sunday morning. I should be enjoying my coffee, hitting you with some NPR voice. And maybe I will this segment, because we're going to talk about something that's not been as fun. Let's talk about those Denver Nuggets and what a difference 2 weeks makes. Getting after that hot 8-1 start, and even clocking 2 wins in a row without Jamal Murray, the tables have turned on our beloved NBA champion Denver Nuggets. The Nuggets have lost 5 of their last 7 games, including 2 to the Rockets, and now find themselves eliminated from the NBA Cup, or the in-season tournament, as they're going to call it for now. Sad, because I kind of hoped the Nuggets were going to take it seriously and you know, go for it, but this injury to Jamal Murray has really, really hurt the Nuggets, even more than I thought it would. Nikola Jokic has still been nothing short of amazing. He's averaging 28 points, 9 assists, and 14 rebounds per game for the season. That's ridiculous. But he just hasn't had enough help over the last couple weeks. Now, looking back at the games, Nuggets have really only been blown out once during this tough stretch, but they did have another game that wasn't really close, and the wins that they've gotten have been squeaky, less than impressive. So let's run this down really quick. I'm going to hit you with the somber tones, because Nuggets started so incredibly hot, but they've cooled off recently, and it's sobering. How about that? It's very sobering what the Nuggets are going through. So Nuggets, after beating the Warriors without Maul, lost to the Rockets 107-104 in Houston. Then they turn around and beat the Clippers 111-108. We still own them. Still living rent-free inside the heads of LA sports fans everywhere. That's right. Come at me. Then the Nuggets started a really, really tough 5-game road trip. Tough in that the competition was tough, but also the travel schedule and the travel pattern was just crazy. So, at home against the Clippers, then they travel to New Orleans and lose 110-115. Then they go up to Cleveland. This game was a blowout. It was a blowout. They only lost by 12, but it was not that close. Nuggets lose 121-109 in Cleveland. Then they go up to Detroit and win 107-103 in a squeaky game. That was too close. Detroit's not very good, so there's your metric on that. Then they travel down to Orlando and lose 124-119. Orlando's surging. They're currently sitting second in the East right now. And that team's pretty good. They've got some pieces. They're just young. They're just trying to put it together. And then you've got back to Houston for an in-season tournament game and a loss, 105-86. They lose by 19 points, and that game wasn't close. I feel like they were down 25-6 at one point. I can't even remember. Nuggets find themselves third in the Northwest right now. And I know it's early. It's an 82-game season. We're not even a quarter of the way into the NBA season, but Wolfgang. If you look at the injury report right now, every starter is listed as probable for tonight's game against the Spurs, except for Jamal, who is still listed as out. The second unit is really in shambles. With Jamal healthy, everybody's like, man, the bench had finally found itself. It was going to turn around. It was going to be a defensive unit. It was coming together. You were 8-1. You started the season 8-1, 2-5 cents, and it's because Reggie Jackson, who was leading the second unit, really, as the primary ball handler, has had to fill in for Jamal as a starter. And so they're bringing in Colin Gillespie, who's essentially a rookie, to play point guard, or Jalen Pickett, who is a rookie, to play point guard for that second unit. And their stagger's off. The Nuggets are known to run a Jamal Murray or a Nikola Jokic stagger with the bench unit, and their stagger rotation's off right now because they're trying to run AG Mike stagger or AG KCP stagger, and it's just not working. It's just not working right now. You know, the Avs, if you look at the Avs and the Nuggets, are not entirely different as far as like record and location in their respective seasons and things like that. You know, Avs are 4 games ahead, if you will, as far as like games played and things like that. But I feel much better about the Avalanche right now. I think a lot of it has to do with that those extra 4 games. They're not dealing with a big injury the way that, like, no discredit to Arturi Lehkonen, who's our biggest injury, not named Gabriel Landeskog right now for the Avalanche. He's not Jamal Murray. Like, having Jamal out is like having McKinnon out, knock on wood, or Rantanen out, knock on wood. And the Avs are figuring out their combinations. Nuggets have not figured out their combinations. Their starters are the best starters when all 5 of them are healthy, best starters in the NBA. No questions asked. But that bench unit is struggling to find its identity without Reggie Jackson leading it and Jamal staggering or whatever. And the help is not there for Jokic right now. He's doing Jokic things where he is playing incredible triple-double, Sombor-double every night. But he's got no help. I mean, we had a Chris Brown game where he had 25 points. They lost. Reggie Jackson, who, again, has to shoulder a little bit heavier load, has been playing great, but it's not enough. AG has had some bad games in this stretch. AG has looked pedestrian. I don't know if he's tired, if he feels the pressure of, like, he's got to do more, and so he's just shouldering a lot of the burden. But it's not been great. It's not been great. You know, I go back and I look at the Orlando game, for example. It was a good litmus test right now because Orlando and the Nuggets, roughly same record. Jokic in that game, 30 points, 13 rebounds, 12 assists. Like, my man's had a game. Michael Porter Jr., Mike, 25 points, but no, like 2 rebounds. Not enough. AG, 15 and 10. AG doing AG things in that game. Reggie Jackson, 14 points. KCP, 10 points. Christian Brown, 13 points. But the bench was terrible in that game. Scoring-wise, I mean, 25 points off the bench for the bench as a total. But, I mean, CB, Christian Brown, minus 13 in the plus-minus. Peyton Watson, minus 9. Zeke Naji, minus 9. Julian Strawther, minus 5. A dude that I hoped would get going without Jamal in the lineup. He's not, and he's still a rookie, and I get it. I think he's going to be a fantastic addition to this team, but he just wasn't there. He wasn't there. And it's, you know, I also go back to the Cleveland game. The Cleveland game, Michael Malone gets thrown out in the first quarter, and Nikola Jokic gets thrown out. Or was that the Detroit game? No, that was the Cleveland game. Moch and Jokic get tossed in that game. And no, it wasn't. It was not the Cleveland game. Get real. I am wrong, gang. Here I sit. Live on the air. Wrong. It was the Detroit game. The Detroit game. Michael Malone and Nikola Jokic get tossed in the first half, and the Nuggets still end up winning. Because Detroit's that bad. That's what it is. Going back to that Cleveland game, though, I do want to go back to that Cleveland game because the Nuggets got wrecked. Like I said, that was a 121-109 loss that wasn't even that close. Jokic in that game only had 18 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists. Michael Porter Jr., 21 points, 6 rebounds, but was a minus 31. Reggie Jackson, minus 28 with only 7 points. KCP, only 9 points. AG, only 11 points. The bench was actually a collective plus in this game. A collective plus. It was crazy. You scroll down the box score to the Cleveland side. Jarrett Allen, opposing center Nikola Jokic, was plus 42. That's insane. Nuggets just didn't have it. They didn't have it. They didn't shoot the ball well. They only shot, not even 50% from the field. Nuggets can't make free throws right now. I think that's the biggest thing that's getting them, is that they're one of the worst in the NBA in drawing fouls, shooting fouls, and they're one of the worst in the NBA in making their free throws. And that's not going to do it for the Nuggets as we go forward. And then this Houston Rockets game this last week, I think the Nuggets saw the writing on the wall. But they had no help. Jokic had no help. 38 and 19 rebounds, 8 assists. That's all. That's NBA first team, best player in the world numbers, but a minus 12 because Aaron Gordon had 2 points. He was 0 for 12 from the field. AG 0 for 12 from the field, including 0 for 4 from 3. Mike had 14 points. Reggie Jackson had 2. So it's really Jokic and KCP and Mike. That's it. KCP had 20. Jokic had 38. Mike had 14. Bench, 10 points. That's it. Christian Brown had 7. Justin Holiday had 3. Literally nobody else scored off the bench. And that's how you get beat by 20 points. Nuggets were down 17 at half in that game. It was bad. It was bad, gang. They need to... I just said I feel better about the Avalanche, but the Nuggets need to get healthy. If they can get Jamal healthy, it changes the workload, and then it changes the dynamic of the team. Because guys are playing either out of position or being asked to do things that they shouldn't be asked to do, or not shouldn't, because they're NBA players. They should do whatever they need to do to win. But the guys are getting asked to do things they're not used to doing on the floor, and that's what's killing the rotation and the gas and all that jazz. Now, all that to say, Nuggets are coming off an incredibly difficult road trip. I talked about the travel pattern and where they went and all that jazz. It's been buck wild. Nuggets have the Spurs at home tonight, and I would bet dimes to donuts that Nikola Jokic is going to put on a masterclass with that rookie Victor Wembanyama in town. He always seems to do that. He did it against Chet Holmgren. Everybody's like, oh, Alperen Şengün for Houston. He's the next Jokic. No, Jokic dominated him. He just had no help. So I bet Jokic puts on a masterclass. Coach is calling another timeout. We've got one left. So we're going to go ahead and use it. Let's take one more break. And on the other side, oh my gosh, we have got to talk about those Broncos.
Go Broncos!
You are listening to Mile High Musings on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's good, everyone? It's Drewski, the host of Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. On this station, we cover everything in the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area. From where we cover the Dallas Cowboys, the Dallas Stars, Dallas Mavericks, Dallas Wings, Texas Rangers, TCU, SMU, we cover it all right here every Wednesdays from 9 to 10 p.m. Central Time. Make sure you stay live with me on the Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Do check out my boy Drewski on Hard Texas Sports here on IE Sports Radio. You're currently listening to Mile High Musings on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Did a little bit more clicking in that last segment than I usually do. You know me, I like to have this thing wicked prepared, but there were just some stats that I wanted to get into a little deeper with those Nuggets that I didn't have written down, honestly. But ladies and gentlemen, how many different ways can you say heater? Because those Broncos are on one.
In this house, we praise the Lord and cheer for them Denver Broncos.
You're darn right. Let's freaking ride. Baby, those crazy Denver Broncos have found themselves a little rhythm, haven't they? What? I mean, when last we met, they were getting ready to play Buffalo in Buffalo, going into a place where they hadn't won in 17 years after doing something they hadn't done in 9 years. Beating the Kansas City Chiefs. And the Broncos won! What? On the leg of Will Lutz and the arm, yes, the arm of Russell Wilson, the Broncos escaped Buffalo with a 24-22 win. Well, really, it was thanks to the fact that the Buffalo kick block team can't help but count past 11. Dude, that was insane. I watched the ESPN2 Manning cast of the game, which is now my preferred method of watching Monday Night Football, and their reactions to the whole last sequence was incredible. It actually started the first play of the game when Jaquan McMillan just ripped the ball free and got a fumble recovery on the first play of the game, and Peyton saying, "It's our ball, we this, ours that," and Eli giving him grief for it. But, I mean, just, like, it was endearing. Peyton still cares deeply. I mean, he lives in Denver, cares about the Broncos. Franchise, basically gave him a second chance. His career was all but over, and at the end, he wasn't the same Peyton Manning that put up the MVP numbers like when we got him, but he won a Super Bowl with us, so he can say we and ours all he wants. And I still have a number 18 jersey in my closet. Anywho, Broncos defense had 4 takeaways in the Buffalo game, including the very first play from scrimmage, as I mentioned. Problem is they only converted field goals on those takeaways. So, yet again, I say, heaven help the blah, 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 blah. They're figuring it out, though. That's the thing. Broncos are figuring it out. Run defense looked weak. Against Buffalo. But the pass defense was anything but. Again, 24-22 win in Buffalo. Game-winning field goal by Will Lutz. Couldn't believe it. What a crazy sequence. And you fast forward to last Sunday night. More primetime football, baby. The Broncos welcomed in the Minnesota Vikings to Empower Field a Mile High. And I feel like the Minnesota game was far more nerve-wracking than the Buffalo game. Will Lutz came up huge. He was huge in the Minnesota game with 5 field goals. And the run defense, again, was terrible. In fact, it looked even worse against the Vikings, giving up 175 yards on the ground. The Broncos have been averaging giving up like 85 yards a game, which wasn't great. But, it was fine. They gave that up in the first quarter against the Vikings. However, guess what they did? They won the turnover battle again. That's right. Recovering 2 fumbles and picking off Josh Dobbs, which led to the Cortland Sutton touchdown. Man, from my personal Twitter account, I was tweeting at Hulu because their app, the streaming app, was dropping. It literally dropped 10 times during the game. I will watch an Avalanche game and have no problems whatsoever. But I was watching Sunday Night Football, and that app kept dropping. It dropped on that pick, the Jaquan McMillan pick. I didn't see that pick until 3 days later. I was so frustrated. And if I had done, I'm not an idiot. I'm not tech stupid. I had done all of the things that Hulu recommended before they even recommended it. And it still crapped out. So thankfully they're on the Sunday ticket this weekend and I don't have to deal with the Hulu app. But again, I watched the Avalanche last night. Had no issues whatsoever. Anyway. Man, Cortland Sutton, that man, we are all witness to his greatness. He was the only one that was going to catch that touchdown. He was the only one that was going to make that catch. And what a scramble by Russ to find the space and have the faith that he has in court on that ball. I know that every Broncos fan was doing the no, yes dance when he let that ball go. Our ground game was non-existent. Non-existent against Miami. It was, or not, I can't believe I just said that. Miami, Minnesota. It was non-existent against Miami. Let's not go back there. 70 burger is not what I want to talk about. And, we've got to get that ground game going as the season progresses. But it's going to be tough this week. It's going to be tough sledding against the Browns because they have the best defense in the league. In the end, cue the Lincoln Park, Broncos ended up winning 21-20 and on our 4-game win streak. I was one, and I will admit this, I was one that after the Jets game, who looked at the schedule and said, gosh darn it, I don't see us winning another game unless we figure this out right now. We're coming out of the Jets game. We're going into the Kansas City game, which we lose Thursday Night Football, but it wasn't that bad. 17-9? 17-8? And then, oh Boise, looks like we started to figure it out. 4-game heater. Speaking of today, Broncos welcome in the Browns. Welcome in Clee to Empower Field at Mile High with 205 kick. Browns come into town, as I said, with the best defense in the league and the league leader in sacks, Myles Garrett. I hope Garrett Bowles, left tackle Garrett Bowles, wears his big boy pants to the stadium today. He's got the toughest matchup on the field. I heard some people talking about Amari Cooper versus Patrick Surtain this week, and I was like, y'all, Pat Surtain has done nothing but shut down every good receiver that's played across from him. So you can think Amari Cooper is going to do things. He's not. It's at home. PS2 is going to lock him down. Who's it? I was talking to my brother-in-law on Thanksgiving, and we're getting to talk about the game and all that stuff, and we both said that we wish the Broncos would call plays in the first half the way they call plays in the fourth quarter. They're waiting until they get down or it's crunch time or they have to make big plays, and then they get aggressive with their play calling. I'd like to see some of that early because clearly it works. Why not do that and be in a position to step on somebody's throat in the fourth quarter? I don't know if it's going to be this weekend. And I don't know if it's going to be next weekend because Broncos play Houston, and Houston's not terrible right now. Broncos need a step on their throat. Mortal Kombat finish him win. That's the only thing they're missing right now. And if they do that, my God, y'all. This is, I can't believe I'm saying this, but today's game has playoff I talk about playoff implications. If the Broncos hope to even be in the conversation, they have to win today. They must. M-U-S-T, must win today. You are week 12, game 11, and you must win. And you must beat the Cleveland Browns. If anybody listens to this before the game today, I wonder how many times we're going to see John Elway in the Drive 2 highlights in this game. Over, under, let's see, I'll set the line at 2.5. How many times we see John Elway driving down the field 98 yards to beat the Cleveland Browns in the 80s in the playoffs. But Broncos got to win. Broncos got to handle their business. They got a lot of help last week. Everybody in the division lost except for the Broncos last week, so they got help. They're currently sitting second in the AFC West. Who would have ever thought that was going to be a thing? Actually, I did. But we'll get there. You go from after the I'm not going to speak for you. I go from after the Jets game going, I don't know if we're going to win another game, to beating the teams that we've beat on this 4-game win streak and looking at the schedule going, gang, we might only get beat by the Lions. And they looked kind of human on Thanksgiving Day. And we've got 2 weeks before we play them. Maybe we only get beat by the Lions. And if that were to happen, we would finish 10-7, which would be 1 game better than my preseason prediction of 9-8.
What, Daddy?
I know, baby. I said that they'd win 9 games, and we might win 10. Who knows? Who knows? We've got 7 games left in the season. What if we win 12? I don't know, gang. Right now, the world is a crazy place. But that'd be amazing. Broncos haven't played meaningful football this late in the season since Super Bowl 50. Can you even believe that? I can't. I can't, but that's going to do it for us here today on Mile High Musings here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Don't forget to check out our show on Twitter, X, and all the other shows on our website, on social media. We'd love for you to stop by. I appreciate you being patient with me as we deal with whatever god-awful disease ran through my house last week. Guys, it's fall, y'all, and we're in the thick of it. Avs are playing lots of hockey. Nuggets are playing lots of basketball. College hoops is on. College football seems to be over for the state other than School of Mines and Air Force. And those Broncos keep riding. Broncos country, stay faithful. I told y'all that we needed to have faith in Sean Payton. And that's what is paying off. But from the top of the mountain, ladies and gentlemen, I am signing off, slapping you with a big old fat mile high salute. It's your boy Aaron Yowell, and I encourage you to stay good, sports fans.
Go Broncos!
In this house, we praise the Lord and cheer for them Denver Broncos.